What's up, everybody? It's been a minute. Been a minute since I've gotten in front of the camera, done a video. I know I got to work on the girlfriend's last turkey hunting video and whatnot. So in today's episode, we're going to go ahead and talk about some arrow builds, kind of like what we did to get our arrows perfect this year. We're doing the Ranch Fairy. We snorted a little bit of that Ranch Fairy dust. So, so we're, like I said, snorted that Ranch Fairy dust. We're getting into that high FOC. And I actually had more of a problem getting mine to tune proper than what the girlfriends did. So we're going to run through that. And as always, in an episode of Table Talk, we're drinking some beer, Surfside Koozie. And I'm so excited about this because the girlfriend went down to the beer store last night and she's like, guess what I got you? And she got me some of My Kiss IPA from Black Rocks Brewery. This is like literally my favorite beer ever. Bell's Official is my second favorite. I like Two Hearted, but it's like so anymore. This My Kiss from Black Rocks Brewery is my absolute favorite. So yeah, cheers guys, real quick. So anyhow, what's Surfside real quick? Great community to be a part of. I absolutely love it. Best field staff position I'm on, and I shouldn't even say field staff because it's more of like a second home to me. It is just filled with a great group of guys, and there's almost, I think, like we're getting close to that 1,000 members mark. So great community to be a part of. I know a lot of people have been posting, oh, well, I get these other Facebook communities that I'm a part of and blah, 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 and I don't have to pay for it and blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what? There's a lot more pros and perks to being a part of Surfside that you're just not seeing. You know, you have to pay to be in. You know, yeah, some of the prices are a little bit steep, but it's well worth it in the end. You know, I've met some great guys from there. I've been able to private message a lot of these guys, and a lot of these guys have helped me out with a lot of different things and whatnot. So, and I'm also hosting a bow camp for Surfside this year up here in northern Michigan, and I cannot wait for that. But anyhow, let's get into this before I continue to ramble on. So let's get into some arrow building. First things first, the arrows we are shooting are the Day 6 arrows. If you guys haven't heard about Day 6, there's a podcast out there. Kevin Viston from Deer Hunter Podcast, he actually was able to get the guy on the podcast, the owner of Day 6 Arrows, and they were sat down and had a absolute wonderful conversation about the arrows, how the arrows came to be, how the business started, and just a lot of pros to these arrows. They're a little bit steep in price. You're going to pay about 80 something for half a dozen and almost 200 for a full dozen, but they're well worth the money, not going to lie, and they're going to last you for a while. I've made some bad shots, and they're still holding up, to say the least. So that's what we're running for arrows. I'm running a 250. The girlfriend is running a 400. And before I forget, drop a comment. If you guys want to see my girlfriend get on, I need extra support to get her to come on here. And she's just very hesitant about coming on. But drop comments. Let's get some more support for her to jump on here. This is her first year deer hunting. So I kind of really want to get her on here. So more support, the better. My bow is a 2019 Dart and Spectre E, 70 pounds, 31-inch draw. Overall arrow length, I think, is about 30 and a quarter to 30 and a half. So, new strings were put on earlier this year, and after that, that's when we started snorting the Ranch Fairy dust. Sorry, that's just really fun to do. But anyhow, so yeah, got the test kit from Ethics Archery, got the arrows, cut the arrows, got my own arrow saw so I can do all this, got my own jig, blah, blah, blah. Can do all this stuff on my own now. Started running it through paper, and backing up, when I had that new string put on, I had Jay's in Gaylord, Jay's Sporting Goods, put the string on. They said they paper tuned it, blah, blah, blah. So all that other stuff, got it, started shooting, got a couple perfect bullet holes through paper, and we're bare shaft tuning. Also, before I forget, because I am very forgetful at times, in the comments, I'm going to, or not in the comments, but in the description, I'm going to link you guys back over to the Ranch Fairy to one of his playlists for high FOC arrow builds. That way you guys can watch through that and learn a little bit more, because all I'm doing is just telling you guys what I had to do to get mine to paper tune. He does a better job on all this, so just go over there, give him go over and subscribe to him and watch all of his videos. Very, very, very informational on high FOC. Getting back to it now. So, I'm trying to remember where I was at now. So yeah, started shooting after the having new strings put on, Ranch Fairy test, got all that. Started shooting. Went through the process of knock tuning and insert tuning, the whole 9 yards on that. And I had bullet holes here and there. I had it down to where I think I had it to where 250 was perfect. And if I remember correctly, I think it was like 200 was perfect as well. So I left the bow alone, came back, and then all of a sudden it just started to tear all over again, and I could not figure out to save my life. So then I got to thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? I just changed arrows to a micro diameter. I wonder what Jay's paper tune my bow with, and what spine they use to paper tune my bow with, because I've had issues, and I know a lot of other people that have had issues with Jay's and just getting their stuff, and it seems like nothing's consistent. I don't know, I know they know what they're doing, but I think it's just some of the stuff they do, they're just kind of a little bit lazy, and they just don't really take the time to kind of work through things. But especially with a high FOC build, it's a little bit more time consuming, and there's a lot more involved with it. So I'd excuse that on their end. So, you know, had they ran a 350 to 300 or 340 through paper with my bow, then things are going to change when I put a micro diameter on with a in a 250 spine. So took it to a buddy, had him tune it. First shot with 125 was a perfect bullet hole. I'm like, okay, shot it again, tore again. I'm like, okay, something's up. Started playing with the knock, different knock positions, still couldn't get it out. Ended up putting fletchings on it. Because I got to thinking, I'm like, well, you know what? I wonder if I put fletchings on it, what would happen? So I put fletchings on it, and guess what? It shrunk the tear by at least quarter to half an inch. So I'm like, I am literally onto something. So adjusted the rest at that point, got it out, and perfect bullet hole for a shot after adjusting. I had to adjust the rest twice, so it took me a little bit to get a perfect bullet hole, but finally got it. I'm like, my bow's done at this point in time. It's done enough to be able to get out and hunt when October 1st rolls around, if I don't have time to play around with it more. I still want to try and get it in tune, in tune with a 200, because that's actually what I've been shooting out of my bow a lot, is 200 up front. So I just need to run it back through paper. My arrows are not 100% done, because I just want to see how the 200s, if it's tearing a little bit with the 200s, or if it's perfect bullet holes with the 200s or not. Either way, if I don't have enough time to get around to it, being the fact that it's Labor Day weekend, I should have enough time, but I might get busy scouting for deer or whatever. But so yeah, I still got to run it through paper, but it's done, like I said, enough to where if I don't have time to get to it, it's enough to be able to hunt with, because the broadheads I shot out of the bow at 20 yards and 25 and 30, they were perfect right next to the field point, so I was happy with the way everything worked out. Total arrow weight is unknown right now because I'm not going to weigh it because, like I said, I still want to try 200s and 250s to see if I'm still going to pull a perfect bullet hole through paper. I'm hoping that 250s work because the 200 grains are literally out of stock. The broadheads I'm looking at are out of stock right now. 250s are like the only thing available, or 300s, and I'm like, well, I really don't want to put a 300 on because I had like a almost 6-inch tear on a 300. But yet again, I could run it through paper again with the fletchings just to see if it is a perfect bullet hole. Now with the fletchings, seems like after I put the fletchings on, it's changed for whatever reason. So even with different anchor points, I noticed that too when running it through paper, and that if you change your anchor point a little bit, it would throw a little bit of a tear in it, but it wasn't too bad. So if you can't get your arrows to tune 100% bare shaft through paper, try throwing fletchings on and see if that actually helps you or not. It really helped me in my case to the point where I'm like, okay, I just got to adjust the rest to get the rest of that tear out, and we're perfect now. So again, that's what I had to do for mine. Drop a comment below if you're having issues. I can hopefully help you out with it too. I'm hoping this portion is going to help you guys out as well. Now, moving on to the girlfriends. The girlfriends was probably the absolute funnest to build. Little 40-pound bow. Look at that. Look how small that arrow is. Like, compare it to mine. Mind you, mine's 30 and a quarter, but literally look how short that thing is. I think that's literally not even, that's maybe 26, 27 inches in overall length from the back of the nock to the front of the broadhead. So, like I said, hers was the funnest to do. Hers was the same thing. I had hers at my buddy's, had him tune it, inspect for the arrow shaft. She was a little bit upset with me about it because she's like, my bow's fine. I'm like, think about this, hon. If I was having issues with mine, what did Jay's do with yours? Because we took her bow to Jay's as well to have hers initially set up. And I'm like, well, you know, you realize that you had your bow initially set up with a standard diameter shaft, so it's going to change. Things are going to change with going from a standard to a small diameter shaft. So get it in there. He got it. We got it back. Same thing. No matter what point we did, we could not get that tear out. So I'm like, you know what? Let's put a 250 up front, and seeing the fact that I got mine to pert near 100% paper tune after putting fletchings on, and all I had to do was mess with the rest, and I got mine 100%, let's try that with yours and see what happens. So we did that. Guess what? First shot after putting fletchings, perfect bullet hole. So I'm like, seriously? I literally looked at her and like, you've got to be kidding me. So I'm like, handed her the arrow. I'm like, here you go. Shoot again. Second shot, perfect bullet hole. I'm like, well, we're done. I'm done. I'm walking away. I'm done. I don't know why your bow was so easy to work with, but for whatever reason, 2 shots, perfect bullet holes both times, you can't beat that. So 250 up front, perfect bullet holes after adding fletchings. We're done. Ordered the broadheads for her, which are VPA 2-blade. I think I'm pretty sure it's a double bevel, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember on the website, but again, there's that broadhead right there. Nasty, nasty broadhead. These things are like razors coming out of the packaging. So I'm like, okay, got them in the mail. I think it was last Monday. And I'm like, we need to shoot these and see how they hit. Same thing, started point blank, worked back to 20. 20, they were close. Here's a picture of them at 20. I think she kind of like threw the shot a little bit or dropped her arm or something, because I've seen her shoot better. But as you can see, they're really close. It's close enough to where the broadhead was literally right where she was aiming and the field point was a little off. That is literally perfect. So I'm like, okay, let's back out to 25 and see what happens. Now, mind you, at 25 yards, her arrows have got, if I'm to guess, right around about a 4 to 5 inch drop at 25 yards, to where she would have to aim at the top or the back of the deer to have it lob down perfect into the vital area. And this is what happened at 25 yards. You cannot tell me that that is not perfect. That is literally the most perfect thing I've ever seen. And all thanks to the Ranch Fairy. Everything that he preaches about with these high FOC is true. I literally see that in my arrows and in her arrows, especially coming out of a 40-pound bow. Literally a 40-pound bow. And it's perfect. Doesn't get better than that. And he also preaches about, too, with a high FOC, guess what? The arrow's not getting pushed through flight. It's literally getting pulled through flight. And that's what you want. All the veins are doing is just making up for any little inconsistencies in your form, a little bit of wind, or something along that line, to where it's just going to correct it a little bit. But all the weight up front is doing majority of the work. It's pulling it through flight. And it doesn't get better than that. I probably had one of the biggest smiles on my face when I seen that at 25 yards. And I looked at her, I'm like, it doesn't get better than that. It really doesn't. I'm like, you're going to be killing a deer. I can put money down. I will literally put $100 down that you will probably get majority of the way through that shoulder if it comes down to it, to where you end up hitting that shoulder. I foresee it with all the weight up front and the way everything works, with it pulling through the air. It's not getting pushed. It's literally a perfect flight through air. I feel like it's going to get through that shoulder, and that deer's going to be done, plain and simple. And again, Ranch Fairy talks about all of this, and I'm a believer after snorting the fairy dust. Yes, I had to put that in there. All right, leave me alone. But yeah, you know, like I said, watch his stuff, learn. It is the truth. What Dr. Ashby had been teaching and learning about in the studies he's done about all high FOC arrows and how lethal and sharp broadheads are. It is just mind-blowing to actually see it in real life. So, again, her bow is the absolute easiest to work with. Not going to lie, mine is a little bit more of a pain in the nuts, to be honest. Some other things I could have done with my bow, I could have dropped the poundage a little bit, but I'm like, I like it at 70 pounds. Kind of a little part of me is a little bit of a speed demon for my bow because, you know, I got that 31-inch draw and I'm pulling 70 pounds. You know, I know my bow is still close to that 200 mark, or probably well over that 200 mark, even with all the arrow weight. Her bow is a completely different story. You know, 40-pound bow, 616 total arrow weight. This right here is 616 grains coming out of a 40-pound bow. It's mind-blowing. It really is. Just, again, how good these arrows are flying. So, I'm going to end it here. I seriously hope this video helped you guys and learn a little bit more. And I hoped I answered some questions. If you guys have more questions about this, drop it in the comments below, and I will be for sure willing to help you guys out in doing this. And again, do not forget to go watch the Ranch Fairy. I cannot stress this enough. He's going to be able to explain this a lot better than what I can. He's been doing this a lot longer than me. I simply wanted to jump on here and tell you guys what it took for me to get my arrows and her arrow to be 100% true out of that bow. So, enough being said on all of this. I, again, seriously hope this helped you guys. Drop a comment below. Let me know if you guys want to see the girlfriend. Let me know if this video has helped you guys. Smash that like button. Help me into that YouTube algorithm. And also, don't forget to subscribe as well. Bow season is just upon us. We can't wait less than 20 days. Well, it's actually like 25, 26 days to go. And we will be in our tree saddles. And I cannot freaking wait. So, again, do all that stuff for us. And we'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.